Yeah, you play at midfield. Just go right now. Go to camera 3. 3. Go to the get perfect, just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yep, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay. Go right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep. Go to the get perfect, just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q. Sophie.
Wait for it.
Radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
All right, guys, we are live. Happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Hold on, let me switch that up. There we go. I've had myself on there twice. This Ricky's our co-host, not me and me. But anyhow, it's November 29th. We've finally reached the end of this long month of November. We've gotten through our Thanksgiving slumber. Some of us took longer than others, but hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving out there. And Ricky, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us to start the weekend.
Yeah, it's a great way. And like always, guys, we're so grateful that you guys join us. Start your weekend off with our happy hour. Very, very grateful, guys. As you know, Willie and I, both born and raised in the Canal Zone, something that is very important that we always start with. So everybody knows that you're going to be getting the latest, greatest, and up-to-date information from the Zonian community. So welcome everybody to our show. It is our number 44th show, guys. And we are very, very grateful for every single one. Cheers to you guys out there. Cheers.
Wow, 44 shows. That's amazing. That's absolutely
It is amazing.
Yeah. And you're having a good time.
I am having a great time, Willie. I always appreciate it. But, you know, there is so much content for us to bring to everybody and inform everybody about who we are as a community, as citizens, as everything we are. That is the Canal Zone. But anyway, thank you for joining us and starting your weekend with us. We all hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I know Willie did. I myself as well. Promoted the show amongst my friends and family, and so we're gonna have some great guests tonight. I mean, I hope they come on and comment, but they'll be watching. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's been a big deal. It is a lot of people do join us and comment on the show, and that's honestly one of my favorite parts is interacting with the audience.
It's interaction, yeah.
You know, this is another voice for the zone, right? In a place where we can not only share memories and learn history of the zone that we didn't know and learn about in school or didn't learn about in school, but we also keep in touch and say hello to people that, sometimes we haven't seen around in years. It never fails that somebody pops into the chat that you're like, man, I haven't seen or heard from that person in forever. And so.
Yeah. And they actually meet each other for the first time in years on our show. And
you do. You see that also afterwards when I look at the chats in Facebook and on the YouTube channel. People that are commenting amongst themselves, even when they jump on the show and they're like, "Yeah, this is great. Yeah. How you doing? Good. And how's your parents or how's your family and all that?" So, but listen, before we go any further forward, because I know I'll forget this, otherwise we don't have it on our show prep. But John Hewsome shared a letter or a template for a letter in the Pan Canal Society Facebook page regarding. There's a program called the Windfall Elimination Provision. In fact, let me just add it to the screen here. Basically, what we're looking at there is this. It's a letter. This Windfall Elimination Provision. Basically, there's a bill that's gone through Congress. The House has already approved it. We're waiting for the Senate now to vote on it. And if they do, President Biden has said he will sign it. And what it will do, in essence, is protect a lot of the pension that federal employees have right now, that apparently without this bill or something to do with it, they're going to lose a chunk of their retirement or their pension. So this is it's a template on here. There's links to a video from a local news station that I guess explains it really well, what happened, the impact of it is. Also, there's a link to Senator Chuck Schumer, who's the majority leader of the Senate, a link to his page as well. And then, as John said here, copy this and then put in your senator's name on there and send it to them, and let them know that this is important. Make sure you get this taken care of, because this is impacting a lot of our Zonians, a lot of our
Yeah.
parents. If it's not us, it's certainly our parents and anyone else that retired with a pension, from the zone. Make sure you get that taken care of. But anyway, thanks, John, for sharing that. And go to the. In fact, here's the link if you need to go to pancanalsociety.org. And make sure that it'll probably be on there as well. But certainly, if you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com groups and go to Pan Canal Society. That's the group there, and you should be already following them. There's a lot of people on that page already. But make sure you if you see this, go ahead and share it so that it starts circulating through the Zonian circles more and more. Get it out there to the other CZ brats and any other pages. So again, something very important. If it doesn't impact you directly, it probably impacts one or both of your parents. So make sure you take a look at that and spread the word.
All Zonian employees were always a little bit spoiled there. All those federal employees with, all the
the hardship of living in the zone, man. I mean, come on, let's face it. You had to live in a place with mosquitoes and yellow fever and malaria. And
they did take care of their workers, because everybody had, housing, education, great postal service.
Yeah.
So, sure. Right on, Zonians.
Yep. So there's the page as well, and like I said, there's a template on there. It's got a couple of different links on there for that video that's an accompanied. Just basically copy and paste this in there. Read the directions, follow it, and again, John, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for helping keep our Zonian family taken care of, and informed. Which is again another reason why you should stay involved with the Pan Canal Society. Right? We've talked about it so many different times about the membership. The page that we're referencing there, that's the Pan Canal Society Facebook page. There's several thousand members on there, a lot more than are actually members of the Pan Canal Society. So, you enjoy the benefits of the society. You enjoy all the great things that they offer, certainly the reunion and the record and all that. But this stuff takes money, right? And part of that is the membership. That's probably the biggest revenue source for the society is membership. It's $50 a year. But guess what? Today's Black Friday. You're out there shopping today. Several of you probably went out shopping early this morning or whenever you did, or you jumped on Amazon, started buying. You spent $50. So for God's sake, send $50 and get a membership to the Pan Canal Society, right? It helps keep these things going so that we're informed of these plans for the retirement, for retirees and pensions and everything else. So, get involved with them. We have a little over a month left on that promotion where the society is going to waive your administrative fee if you haven't registered in a while or you're not a new member. That fee is being waived until December 31st. So get your membership, buy your family and friends, if they're Zonians, buy them a membership to the society. It's $50, and get our membership numbers up where they need to be so we can keep this thing funded and keep these guys representing us in Congress and keeping us informed of all the important things that we need to know of here in the zone. So reach out to them.
And truly keeps the whole society together. I mean, without those guys, I don't think there is a society, not the way it is today.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right, Ricky. And that's what's so key about it is that, this is the place where we get to say hello to people. You reconnect with people. And so make sure you return that love and call the society, let them know you want to renew your membership or you want to sign up new. And then let them know you want to use that happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club program so you get advantage of saving on that discount. And you get that cool card that you see up there on the screen there. It's a pretty neat card. It's got the iconic Sosa Hill scene with CZ Forever carved into it, which, now if you look at pictures of Sosa Hill, you can't even see that stuff because there's trees everywhere. It really ruined that hill. But again, really iconic.
There are nice trees, though. It's one of the better trees.
They put the trees somewhere else, man. We're not lacking for trees in the zone in Panama either, right? But on the backside, you have all these really good sponsors on there, right? And these guys all are Canal Zone companies. These are all Zonians that are doing business. So we certainly want to take care of them as well. Again, Kelly Fenton and her daughter Rachel Fenton with Compass Realty. Great resource here in Florida if you want to buy or sell in Florida. If you want to go to Panama, they can be your conduit. They have a lot of connections with realtors in Panama as well. Get you down there if you want to buy or sell. Cascadas Lodge in Sea Panama. That's Captain Andrew Eftimitis' outfit. He might be jumping on next week with us. Dave Dahlstrom is actually going to be in Panama next week. So we're hoping to get them situated where they'll chime in from Cascadas Resort, which is a great, bed and breakfast in Balboa. Make sure that if you're, and I know I did yesterday when I was eating, not turkey because I can't stand turkey in all honesty, but we had a great ham and some other stuff there. And I made sure I had my seasons there with my Howler Monkey hot sauce, which is absolutely fantastic hot sauce. They got 4 different flavors. The Amarillo is my favorite, but they've got some good stuff. It's flavorful. Those guys were actually on Hot Ones, that YouTube show that's about hot sauce where you talk to celebrities and stuff. They were on it for 2 years, man. That's really cool. So it was cool to see a Zonian company being promoted, nationally by a big time show, which it is now. But they're on Amazon. If you're in Florida, the Southeast, you can buy them at Publix. But if not, get on Amazon and order them. They're absolutely fantastic. Great gifts to give your Zonian friends and family for the holidays. Send them a bottle of hot sauce if they like it. Howler Monkey's the way to go, man. We have Jerry Curtis with Panama Motorcycle Adventures. They've got some great programs. They were on a little over a month ago and were talking about the upcoming race, that's quite an event, isn't it?
Yeah, they got a big thing coming up in January, so maybe we should touch on that next week.
Yeah, for sure, and even the beginning of January, because it's coming on late in January. Actually, it's either right before or right during the Canal Zone reunion, isn't it?
Exactly. I think it's the same week.
It is, and there's a reason for that, guys.
Right. It just fits perfectly between 2 major events in Panama, Christmas and New Year's, and I think it's the carnivals.
The carnivals and all that stuff. And so this is the slower time of the year for travel reasons more than anything else. So
and the less expensive, because during carnival prices go up and during
fares go much lower in between those 2 heavy travel seasons. So
but
nonetheless, they don't just do that event. That's their staple event, right? That's their headliner. But they've got a couple other things going on there. If you want to just go down there with the family and do some kind of a off-road type adventure, they do some great trips that are, for small groups or, you and a couple of friends or your family, 4-wheelers, motorcycles. They've got a really awesome programs.
They'll provide everything, equipment, motorcycles, the works.
Yeah, don't be paying all those big baggage fees to haul your equipment down. Or they've got stuff for you down there. I mean, you might want to have your helmet, I would assume. I don't know. I'm not a motocross rider, but
I think that that's not
But
you can use almost any helmet.
Nowadays, the airlines will nickel and dime you on every damn thing. So if you want to save on some baggage fees, they've got equipment down there for you, man. So don't even worry about that stuff. And then we have Beacon Solar. These guys are up in the Northeast right now, but they're looking to get into Florida. They've got a great program. Larry Cicero is with Beacon Solar. It's not the same solar as before, man. These guys really have an awesome program. If you're involved in anything involving real estate, Kelly, you may want to talk to Larry about this, but I know they've got some great programs that they provide to like condos and things where there's an incentive to actually put solar panels in your location because these people are making money out of it. I know they do have one. It's either a condo or an apartment complex up there in the Northeast that he mentioned to me one night. And dude, they're going to make several $100,000 on this deal by just providing these solar panels, which allow residents to charge their vehicles and stuff. So it's a really pretty cool gig there. And, if you want to help get that into Florida and maybe get in on the business and make some money, check out Beacon Solar. Then, of course, Al Sprague. They actually have a Black Friday deal going on right now. If you go to PanamaArts.com, they've got some really, really awesome deals on Al Sprague art. He actually just finished another painting. I believe it was a Pollera painting that I saw Cashy.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Beautiful picture, yeah, as usual. I mean, this guy, he doesn't mess around. He captures Panama, in a way that if you're from Panama, if you're not from Panama, you look and go, wow, that's beautiful, that's interesting. But if you're from Panama, you're like, oh yeah, I totally get that. You totally feel it. There's some really cool pictures. He's captured homes in the zone, right? You see some pictures of those El Prado style, houses that we all lived in at first down there with the white buildings with the orange roofs, the red roofs. Awesome.
Fourplex.
So, yes, man. And built to last, brother. Those things were foot thick concrete. It seems.
El Prado, yeah, they're all government offices now. Every single one of them. Now that there's no houses, so they turn into.
It sucks the way
offices.
they look, but it was pretty smart on their part because it certainly would look like in government complexes. Every building looked the same and everything, but
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It keeps that whole the whole planning of the administration building and the El Prado and then Stevens Circle.
I lived on the last house on Barnaby, the last building on the left there, right before the elementary school, and the DeLucas lived in that building on the end of El Prado right there. So Tony and I would play in that little grass area right there between the houses since we were in nursery school, and now that's a parking lot. Because in between,
exactly. All the in betweens are parking lots,
so they gotta have parking lots.
Yeah. We all same with us. We played it back behind the homes. There was always bushes and trees, and you can but not anymore. They're all parking lots behind.
Yeah, for sure. But still, those are just some of the iconic art that you can get from Al Sprague. And then Zonian Life. Those guys have been around for a long time. That's Bruce Bateman's outfit. These guys, they've been promoting and keeping the zone together even way before Facebook was around, way before the real Zonian community got together. A lot of it was through Zonian Life because they had a big email database and they really communicated with everybody, outside, of course, of what the society did. But if you want, for example, a football shirt, it is football season right now. They've always had those really cool T-shirts. For all the teams there, the Albrook Jets that we had on here recently, the Kiwanis Colts, which, by the way, we chatted with those guys again this afternoon, and we're hopefully trying to get something going there with those guys. That's going to be a fun...
it's a go. We have a go. I think we have confirmation, Willie. It's a go.
Yeah, we got a couple of them confirmed that they'll get with us this week to get some show prep going and see if we can't get them on, because I'm still really curious to that whole Kiwani story. I think that's, most of us know the Kiwanis simply as a big rival. Right, they were just a big rival out there. That was our biggest rival, of course. But how did they get it all started? How did that work? How did they do football? It's going to be a really cool episode there. So I'm excited for that. But anyhow, check out Zonian Life, and you can get those T-shirts for all those teams that outside of the Balboa Rams. Plus, if you didn't make it to the Balboa Rams reunion, this past reunion, which was awesome, by the way. We had some special shirts made for that reunion. You can get them on Zonian Life. Bruce Bateman took care of those for us. They're either short sleeve, long sleeve, men's or women's, but they're awesome. So check those out. And then, of course, we're on there as well. Our show is certainly sponsors, but get onto the Pan Canal Society website. Give them a call and get your membership. It's $50, man. Help keep the society going. It's a Christmas gift for yourself. If you're going to renew it yourself, do that. Do it for a friend or family member, and take advantage of that and help keep the society going. So, but let's say hello to some friends here before we move on, Ricky.
I saw
here in Cole,
some good people are on.
I know, for sure. And listen, there is some cold weather headed for us. If you guys are in Florida, I just saw this. When was it? I think Monday.
Dangerously cold is what I read.
Yeah, for sure, man. So definitely be mindful of that, and nonetheless, but good to see you, Sheila. Let's see who else is on here. We have Eduardo Walters. What was said about the pension? Okay, so if you go real quick, let me see if it's still up there. Yeah, here it is, Eduardo. This is on the Pan Canal Society Facebook page. So if you go to facebook.com/Pan Canal Society, or just search for them, there's apparently a bill called the Windfall Elimination Provision, which, according to this, and this is what John Hewson put on here, it said this unfairly penalizes federal retirees by drastically reducing their Social Security pensions. So you need to contact your senator now. The bill already passed the House. President Biden said he would sign it. We just need to get the Senate to go ahead and pass it now as well. So the idea here is to get the letter that he put on here, copy the template, address it to your senator, send it to them, send a copy to Chuck Schumer, and urge them to please take care of this and help retirees. So there you go, Eduardo. But I'm glad you're tuning in. You came late, but that's all right. You showed up, and that's all that matters. So we definitely love having you guys on here. Let me go ahead and take that off here so we can. All right. So there we are. Who else? Jill, how are you, Jill?
Kevin
We have an
Barsness
outspring
from.
of Zonians on that would be an awesome picture. Absolutely.
Hey, hi, Jill. Kevin Barsness said hello from Kansas.
What's up, Kevin? There you go. From Kansas tonight, right on. Woo-hoo. Hope it's not too cold up there, man. That place gets cold. Let me tell
Jill
you what, man.
Dupree. We always love when Jill comes on.
Yeah,
Jill,
all
you
the
make
Duprees
our
come
show
on. It's very
wonderful.
cool. They are. The Dupree family joins. It's a family affair and went on our show, which is really cool. But listen, that's a great idea, guys. We should all have send a message out. Go on to PanamaArts.com while you're shopping for your Christmas deals anyway. And I'm sure they have a contact us piece on there. And let them know, hey, a picture of us on the causeway, Zonians on the causeway would be awesome. That would be iconic, sitting on the hood of your car, right? One of your knees up on the car and looking out, talking to somebody with a cold Panama beer in your hand or something. That's a causeway scene there. So that definitely is one that he needs to capture. That's a great idea for sure. So, but anyhow, let's go ahead and move on then, Ricky. Let's keep the show going here. We've got a lot of things to cover. We've got some cool history stuff. We've been promising you this for a couple of weeks. November is in Panama. It's known as El Mes de Patria, La Fiestas Patria, which basically is the whole month is an Independence Month for Panama. It really was. There's quite a bit involved. Coincidental, probably, but two main Independence Days that Panama celebrates, and both of them occurred in November, a couple hundred years apart, but nonetheless, they all occurred in November. So we've got quite a bit of information in our Made in Panama segment about those. So you're going to learn some cool things about both of those independences. And Ricky's got some other cool stuff in his favorite of all time segment. So why don't we jump right ahead, Ricky? What segment are we covering here?
Yeah, let's get in there. Well, Willie, you got a good.
My bad, Ricky. I'm trying to automate things and I go pressing buttons. The next thing you know, I cut you off midstream. My bad, man. Anyway, are you on?
I guess, yeah, we're having.
No, we're good
you guys
now.
Can hear me out there.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, well, we transmit our show during the busiest time of internet time. So a lot of times I get cut off over here and I get a pause. And I catch up with you maybe a second or two behind. Well, anyways, guys, everybody, thanks for joining us in El Bochinche. Tonight, like every week, we have some good information for you. All right, let's get started. Well, guys, within the Canal Zone community, we have a big event coming up in Tampa this month. Well, I don't know if you know the date, but I believe it's the first week, actually, or the second week. Well, we have a big Zonian Panama Canal Society Zonian Christmas Luncheon in Ybor City, Tampa, coming up soon. Guys, remember, I believe that registration is over now. That was in November, but you might just miss the dinner part, but show up for the party. It's going to be a lot of Zonians there. And the ones that are going to be there, you're going to be eating some good Christmas Panamanian food, a.k.a. feasting on the best. Arroz con pollo is going to be served, as well as some ropa vieja. Now, if you're not into that, they're also going to have other plates, like their famous veggie cubana, which is, I believe, a salad, guys. Well, anyways, remember that coming up in Tampa for all you Zonians in the Tampa area and close by. Yep. All right, guys. The holidays are coming up, so we just want to remind you once again that due to our great relations with the U.S. and Panama, if your passport says place of birth, Panama, Canal Zone, you go to the short line. Yeah. Or if one of your family members is Panamanian, everybody goes to the short line. There you go. Different from the short bus, definitely the short line.
That's true.
Yeah, so guys, everybody's going down there. Remember that. Bring your Panamanian ID and let them know.
Class of 85, you guys are going down there. Make sure you know that now. If you've got that born in Panama on there on your passport, Go through that Panama line. It's much faster. Those guys, you just
Oh yeah,
show your
yeah.
Think about it like when you flew into Miami back in the day, right? Same thing. If you had a U.S. passport, you flew through that line. The other international line was long and slow. Same thing here, but it's the other way around, and now it's for Panama.
Yeah. Also, if there was an ex-Canal Zone cop, remember that? We always ran into an ex-Canal Zone cop. It was like, all right, go right through, bro.
Yeah, remember Mr. Harley was always in customs.
Yeah, there was Mr. Harley, right? There was Flacco Thompson. No, that was several. That was several. That was a bunch that were at Miami. I remember. Yeah. Guys, a little something that I want to bring up that I saw on the Canal record was in obituaries. But I'm going to bring it up, not because, respect his death, but it's the way they describe what a Zonian kid was. And it's something that we can all use the day that our time comes. And it goes as follows. He loved his childhood in Balboa, playing in the jungle, playing in the rain, playing Ringalivia at night in the neighborhood, running behind TDT trucks, swimming at Balboa Pool, converting roller skates to a scooter and racing down San Pablo Street, turning at that very last moment into that driveway, you remember, to avoid flying into Balboa Road and, of course, getting run over, diving for lobster at the causeway, knocking down mangoes, climbing star apple trees, collecting, stealing, hiding, and protecting their Christmas trees. I mean, that just describes just about 99%.
I just went through my childhood right there. I said as you read that.
It was so beautiful. And I'm just like, you know what? That is exactly who we are. Right? Everything there hit home run, guys. All right, let's move on. This is a little something from SAS. That's Shorty and Slim. They are going to be playing in December, after Christmas on the 27th. Unfortunately, he only has it down as the EOY party. And I don't know what the EOY party stands for.
End of year.
Of course. I'm thinking employment opportunity. I'm going, what could that mean?
Oh, man.
Well, and then guys, also remember all the Panamanians out there that are listening. Don't forget. And speaking of the trees, they have their tree burns on January 15th in Cardenas. So that tradition, that Zonian tradition, is still alive.
That's pretty cool.
And then, of course, the 25th is the Canal Zone reunion. Now, little reunion news. Our understanding is that most people are going to be attending, especially from Panama, the Saturday event, aka the Jamboree. So the news is, which came from Alex, when they got together with their committee. Reina just happened to be in my car when they got together, so I was able to hear. Was if you're not registered for the Jamboree, guys, you have to register before Saturday. Saturday, there will be no registration, no exchanging of money. So if you're not registered by Saturday, you can get in, but you will not be able to participate in the events like the happy hour, like the folklore dancing, those kind of things, You can hang out at the hotel, of course, and then when the party at night starts, of course, you can participate with that. But if you want to be part of all the other activities, which will definitely help the reunion, make sure you sign up. And by the way, you get a really nice bag too with it. So
there you go.
Totally worth the sign up. So you guys remember, sign up. Otherwise, you're gonna miss out. You can still come and enjoy. Don't miss out. Still come, but a few things you're going to be not able to attend to. All right, so make sure you sign up, guys. All right, the next part of our bochinche is the sports part, and then we'll go into food. The sports part is quick. Willie, I was noticing that our very small country of 4 million people in basketball, in soccer, and in baseball, their rankings have improved dramatically. So either A, the private sector starting to invest in athletes, or B, as a combination of the private sector and the government.
Sure.
But in baseball, they increased their world ranking to number 8. Okay, of course, Taiwan, Japan, United States, Mexico, Venezuela are above them. Guess who's not? Puerto Rico and Cuba. We are ranked ahead of them, and those are some good ball teams. Yeah. They're 9 and 10 respectively. So right on Panama. A little cheers for that on the ball team. Yeah, because we know the soccer team is killing it. Mm-hmm. And the soccer team as well.
Don said that Jill is visiting them in Thanksgiving down there. Frank's going to be joining from Andrew's Bed and Breakfast in Panama, right? From Cascadas. And there
right on. Good steak.
There's Frank right there. Look at that. Hey, Frank, how you doing? Hope you're enjoying it down there in Cascadas. Right on. That's awesome.
Always great to have you on, Mr. Dupree. Always great. You represent my father's age groups, and I appreciate that. Right on, Frank. Guys, so anyways, on the soccer ranking, we're at 39th. I mean, it's not the greatest in the world, but I mean, we're down from 86.
Well, although, listen, the thing about that, though, in all fairness, if you're ranked in the top 50, you're ranked really well because soccer is the global sport. So we're talking about every country in the world participates. If you're talking baseball, those things, that's a little bit more nuanced. Soccer is global, man. So if you've got a ranking in soccer, you are doing something right for sure.
Yeah. Their best ranking ever was 29th in 2014 when they went to the World Cup. Yeah. I mean, but at one point in 1995, they were 150th.
Correct. No, listen, Maria is and timing is really good right now. They're really positioned well. Not next year, 2025, but 2026, the World Cup is in Mexico, United States, and Canada. Really, the United States, but Mexico and Canada have a couple of games as well. But man, I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to some big group outings with Zonians if they're in that World Cup, and it looks very likely right now based on how they're playing and the group.
Yeah, well, don't they always play like in Orlando and Tampa?
Well, yeah, but for the World Cup, I think Miami has a game, Atlanta has a game, Dallas, Washington, LA. There's a couple of places, but again, you get a group of Zonians together for something like this. I think it'll be absolutely fantastic because it's
like the baseball game.
Yes.
And you attended,
You're on the World Cup stage, dude. You got to go. Yeah.
All right, moving on, guys. The next part of the Bochinche, we're going to move into food because we really, Willie and I have been itching to move into the food part of our show. But listen, there was this part of the Bochinche for everybody who's traveling to Panama and you want to really fine dine with some international, it's Panamanian cuisine, but these guys are internationally recognized. Three restaurants in Panama made the top 100 best restaurants in the world. Okay.
Oh, they Michelin starred, I would assume so.
100. All right. Yeah. The best ranking. No, I'll go from the lowest to the best ranking. At number 3, which ranked 83rd, is a restaurant called Intimo. It's creative Panamanian cuisine. You're gonna get it's fine dining, and it's in the San Francisco neighborhood, which is over like Multiplaza, old Paitilla Airport.
Wasn't all that stuff.
Yeah, where the old airport was, or those that remember Trapiche, which was a great Panamanian restaurant, which I'm surprised didn't make the list. It's close to that, Intimo. And Willie, this is what I like, and this is what I love Panama and the Canal Zone, this is the chef's name, Chef Carlos Chombolin Alba. So in Panama, you can get all those nicknames, and there's absolutely no problem with, racist this or racist that.
Nothing derogatory about that at all.
Cheers to that beauty of our culture.
That so Panamanian, man.
Yeah, if you're Chinese, Chino, if you're tall, alto, if you're short, bajo, whatever it was.
So it's funny, terms of endearment, right? I remember, and one of the first times that my mom and my wife met, and very much again a term of endearment for Spanish women to talk to each other. Oh yeah, gorda. And I remember the first time she said to my wife, she's like, "Your mom called me fat." I'm like, "No, she didn't." She goes, "Yeah, I didn't go to that fat." I go, "Yeah, but she didn't call you that. I promise."
Yeah.
It's totally a term of endearment. It's not anything.
I've dealt with that as well myself. Okay, number 2 at ranking number 74. This is a very interesting one because I don't want to say it's not fine dining, but it's it's more for the average guy. All three are. Don't think that these are like super expensive. They're not. But this one's called La Tapa del Coco, ranked 74th, and it's Afro-Panamanian cuisine.
Right.
So yeah, you're gonna get more of the New Orleans, Jamaican, Cajun, and this guy ranked 74th. Okay,
nice.
They are. The funny thing is, they also won the best burger in Panama.
Oh, that sells me right there, dude.
It sells you right there. That's what I thought. My best burger for Afro-Panamanian cuisine. That's gotta be dynamite, guys. So check that one out. It's called La Tapa del Coco. These are all in Panama.
Okay.
Number 74 ranking. And then the best ranking, again, fine dining, this one, Fonda de lo que hay. And that is ranked number 65th, which is still very good.
Sure.
And it's known for food that speaks Panamanian. Again, fusion of all the Panamanian things we did, and they do it in a creative way, serve it with beautiful plates. And these guys are just top chefs, award-winning chefs in Panama. Again, 3 restaurants. Fonda de lo que hay, La Tapa del Coco, which I'm going to recommend, and I recommend all 3, and Intimo by Carlos Chombolin Alba. And that was creative Panamanian cuisine. All right, so Willie, that's what we got.
Is how Panama, for those of you that have not been to Panama in a long time, especially after the transition and everything, Panama has really grown and expanded in its offerings. We're talking about fine dining, great cuisine down there, great vacation resorts,
and affordable, Willie.
Absolutely.
Very affordable.
And even, some of our Zonians, like we talk about, and here Frank's talking about, being over at Andrew's place, at Eftimidas' place, and loves it there. That's right in the heart of Balboa, but they've taken those big, tall, 4-family wooden buildings, and they've converted it into a bed and breakfast. And so, what a great opportunity. If you haven't been to Panama, you're looking at it. It's no longer Panama of, Coronado Beach and the Continental Hotel and this hotel, it's very
I like that place though. That was good.
Oh, they were great. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to see something that's a little more inviting, I guess a little more eclectic, there's some great stuff out there, and certainly Cascadas would be a great place to start, and then start your cuisine adventures there. The funny thing about Panama today, to me, the one that probably stands out the most is how small Panama really is, and we didn't realize that growing up down there, right? It was, for us, think about it, going out to Coronado back in the 80s when you were in school, and we had the weekends to go out
almost
to
an
Coronado,
hour,
spend an hour and a half at least, right?
Yeah,
going
San Carlos hour and a half. Not an hour, yeah.
Give or take. But now, Coronado is, I know Ralph, when he lived down in Panama back, 10 years ago, whatever, they were living out in Coronado, and he would commute to the zone, and it was no big deal. It's just a quick jump, So it really is a much more accessible country, and get down there, stay in some cool resorts. If you want to go do some fishing, come fish Panama. It's got some fantastic offers down there to go do some deep sea fishing. And again, they're way out there in Chitre and Chiriquí, but it's in fact, Copa Airlines now is flying again domestic. They have flights from Tocumen to David twice a day now. It's a 40-minute flight, man. So,
but it is getting a lot of competition to Air Panama, Aida Chiricana, and those other local ones. But it is what it is. That's capitalism.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, and to wrap up the bug sheet, we're not going to wrap it up. We're going to get to two more things. But one of the last things that I have on this sheet is this is Willie out there in Bocas. They built these super futuristic houses on the water.
Yeah.
And they've been a success. One tipped over and made the engineering news, but still, it's still a successful development, and it's promoted by top dollar. I think the Motas are behind it. Well, anyways, this German guy out there, 59-year-old by the name of Rudiger Koch, Koch. Would that be Koch or just Koch?
Cock, but who
Who
knows?
knows?
Cock,
German.
whatever.
Well, this guy built a little capsule 35 feet in the water, and he's going to try to break the world's record of living underwater. So we got that happening on. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and inform everybody how that guy's doing.
I don't know if I could do that, man. I would be paranoid the whole time, man. That's going to spring a leak in the middle of the night, you know.
Or something, right. But he's trying to break a record, which I forget what it was. I thought I wrote it down and I did it, but I think it's like 3 weeks or something like that. So he's on that merry-go-round to break that record. Live 35 feet underwater.
Stuff like that, Ricky, is probably easier to break today because you have so much more. I mean, just you could walk in there with an iPad and you could spend 6 months down there and be totally entertained. Where back like some of these things were done in the 70s and 80s, these experiments to live in isolation. I mean, what did you have down there? You didn't have internet. You didn't have anything live. You had some lame board game, nobody to play with.
It takes a certain kind of human being, but I guess if it came down to that, and you had to live down there, well, we would adapt.
Yeah, I think so. You don't have a choice.
All right. Well, listen, the golf tournament. Willie and I are really looking into doing something with this because there are so many events. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 events, 8 golf tournaments throughout the year that are attended, like minimum 72 Zonians participating, plus another 72 to 100 that also show up to party. I shouldn't say party, but the 19th hole, to participate in the 19th hole event.
Of course.
Well, guys, the one that's coming up will be the January and February tournaments. The January one is, for the Canal Zone reunion at the Summit Golf Club. Alex Reyes and who's the other person that's dedicated to is like Reyes and Ramos, Reyes and
I should know this. Terrible. I'm so bad about that, but yeah, it is. It's a memorial tournament.
It's a memorial,
R squared or something.
Yeah, and that's coming up, guys, at the reunion in January, and then in February, the following month is in Coronado. So if you get into this tournament, this golf tournament, you have 2 Panamanian tournaments coming up, one in January, one in February, and the one in February is right on Super Bowl weekend. Okay, and that's hosted by David Bishop and John Cronin, and that's held in Coronado.
Yeah,
the old Coronado.
A lot of people go down to that one. It's a very affordable tournament. Flights are not that
all
expensive.
Really, these are all well attended. I mean, this is something that we're going to tap into and inform all our viewers.
You know what, Ricky, you know what we should do with that? Being that there's so many of these, and from you and I talking about it the other day, apparently there's a lot of our retirees, and golf was obviously huge in the zone. They actually travel around and attend several of these. So it would be cool to have some kind of like a leaderboard and follow it, and maybe in the reunion tournament have like a little competition between the top. We want to get a reunion. We want to get a couple of awards for them too. 2, 3 of them. Cool, man. Yeah, I know. Kenny Gall actually traveled to Arkansas to hang out with Jim Duffus on their right.
Yeah. I think they had it like last weekend, maybe 2 weekends ago, but recently. So I got to catch up with Kenny and see how that all went down. Or John can come on and let us know. But guys, October is the Arkansas. November, because it was just this last month. Okay, November.
I think it was at the end of October. But either way, I'll reach out to Jim, and we got to get planning on that Canal Transit show, the Gatun Lock show. And
I talked to Kenny like a month ago. I feel like it was last weekend. Oh my God, time flies,
man.
Yeah, time flies. Well, there's one in Orlando for the reunion. There's one in Tampa called at Saddlebrook that Willie attends, and that's hosted, I think, by Kelly and Carl.
Yeah.
So that's what we got going on. Again, the last one we have one in Texas that I think it's at the same time that they have the mini reunion out there in Bob Mettinger's event.
Nice.
So that's what we have on the golf, and then finally we have is the Willie. It's not really part of the Bochincha, but it kind of leads into what you're going to be talking about for our next segment, which is, the independent. So one of the things that I was going to mention, if I can find my notes, well, I'll wait till your segment, is how many people tried to cross that isthmus.
Yeah.
And,
it's amazing when Balboa discovered the Pacific and word got out, all of a sudden that was like one of those holy grails. Who can find a way to get back and forth? Because if you can control that little transit point, you can control a lot and make a lot of money. And as we find out later on, Spain, ultimately did it. But yeah, that's
Well,
interesting.
Spain were the first in the 1500, but believe me, in the 16, 17, and 1800, there was a lot of guys trying as well to cross it. Because what it was is during the 1800s, there was a lot of, during the 1500s and 1600s, there was a lot of discovering going on in the north. So they knew that they could, because they had already heard of the Pacific Ocean, right, from the 1500 crossing. So they were always trying to find a faster crossing to the Pacific. Lewis and Clark, when they were doing the Mississippi.
By then, I think the whole concept of a round Earth and the ability to go and get to Asia. Now they had figured out that this was a different world, a new world, but Asia was just past that. It still was a long, long ways to go around Africa. Okay, it was a lot longer to get to Asia. I was doing some figuring, for that documentary. I was doing some things on that, and it took to get from Spain to, for example, the Philippines, where Spain had a lot of colonies as well, to go down across the Horn in Africa and go through the Indian Ocean. It took between 7 and 10 months.
Yeah.
And it really depended on the time of the year. There were certain times you just absolutely couldn't leave, because by the time you get over there, you're going to get into that monsoon season. You can't make it anyway. So it was very limited. Whereas the dash across the ocean, typically, to go from Panama or from Spain to get to Panama, they would dash down to the Canary Islands, which is just a couple of days. And from there, the dash across the Atlantic was only a couple of weeks long. Right. And then from there in the Caribbean, you get down to Panama another few days. So much, much shorter. And then from there, even across the Pacific, if you wanted to go that way, was quicker. So to your point, some of these guys were looking for, it wasn't for the Panama and South America. It was a shortcut to get over to Asia, which is
over to Asia. Right. And then for the Americans to get over to the Pacific. But let's listen to some of the names that tried, crossing that isthmus. Famous explorers: Jacques Cartier, Frenchman. Yeah. He in the early 1500s. After Vasco Nunez, 1492 was Vasco Nunez discovered it. Right around 1534, right around there is when he tried. He never went there, but he planned it. Sir Francis Drake, the Englishman, he did try. The assault on Panama, or Nombre de Dios, in 1596. But he was ravaged by dysentery and other diseases, and the Spanish eventually kicked him out and got him out of there. Yeah, Henry Hudson in the 17th century. Again, he never went, but he planned getting through. Captain James Cook as well in the early 1800s. Lewis and Clark as well, mid 1800s, when they never went down there, but they were looking for a quick way from the Mississippi to the Pacific Ocean, and they knew the fastest way was going to be coming around. Correct. So they also had interest in crossing the isthmus. And last but not least is Sir John Franklin in the 1850s. And after that came the French, who built the canal, tried to build the canal. So it was always, Willie, these guys, all the time trying to find it. But the OG of the crossers was Vasco Nunez de Balboa. And then, Willie, after doing this little research, I realized Vasco Nunez de Balboa was a stud, because a lot of these guys could not make it. They couldn't get the funding. They were, they were, I don't know, they were scared, but they never even tried. But Vasco Nunez, 1513 is when he crossed.
Correct.
He got it all the way across. So cheers to Vasco Nunez, because that was not easy. And he lost his head for it.
And he went through the Darien, too.
Yeah, so now I know how difficult that was.
Yeah, the guy was a beast, man, and you're right. He got beheaded. It was basically a power play, and somebody wanted to take over, and so they falsely accused him of some stuff and lopped his head off, and that was the end of Balboa.
Yeah, and this was going to hurt all the Panamanians, and Henry Morgan too, man. That guy also figured it out. That was not easy, So right on. Anyway, so Willie, that's what I got. I thought that might add a little color to what you're going to be talking about next.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of really cool Panama history. There's an interesting French connection that France played a pivotal role in both independences, and you're going to learn that here in just a bit. But before we do that, of course, we do always want to talk about celebrating everybody's birthdays here in the zone, because that's a big deal to us.
That's
and,
a
and
big,
so,
big plus for us. So let's
Ricky's got
jump right into our
list.
birthdays.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, this will be the last week of November and the first week of December. Like always, I like to start with I like to start with our 81s, even though we only have two, but one very special to me, Maritza Reyes. Happy birthday to you, sweetheart.
Oh, right on.
She has been my very, very dear friend since very, very young. Because I met Annette, Maritza, and Alidi Banyas, a whole bunch of them in St. Mary's.
Yeah.
When I went over there in second grade. Because first grade I was with Kelly Morris and Jerry Curtis and all those at Balboa Elementary. And then my dad switched us over. And Carol Garcia, for all the Panamanians that remember her, happy birthday to both of them for the 81 class. Now, Willie, everybody here is sharing a special birthday with Mariano Rivera. He's also a birthday boy. Yeah, nice. So happy birthday to Mariano. Also, happy birthday to Howie Mandel. He has a birthday today. And then also today, Willie, this is not a birthday, but it could be celebrated as a birthday. Today, the movie by Dolly Parton, 9 to 5, came out. Until today, I mean, working 9 to 5. I mean, that song
everybody right now is hearing that tune in their head right now.
that was released today, as well as the Beatles' famous song, I Want to Hold Your Hand. So big day today in world history. Yeah. Tom Sizemore, you guys remember that actor? He was on Saving Private Ryan. I think he was also. What
was the thing he did in Saving Private Ryan? What was something unique that he did throughout the movie that he was known for? Because he followed around Tom Hanks's character. And they were both together throughout the,
Was he the one that was always making bets on who Tom Hanks' job was or something like that?
No. They all were doing that, but one guy was the one that kept the odds, and they were asking him. In fact, Tom Hanks was, what are the odds on me right now? And then when he finally decided to tell his story. But no, Tom Sizemore, if you recall, every time they do him battle first and all that, but when there was a lull in the combat, a moment to gather yourself and whatnot, he had his little side pack. He pulled out a can, and he poured dirt in it. And you saw the labels on them, and one of them was Casablanca. One of them was Italy.
Sand, yes.
He collected sand from all the different amphibious invasions he had done. So he had invaded North Africa, then he had invaded Italy, and now he was invading France in D-Day. So the guy
I do remember that scene. Yeah. Another happy birthday to my 15-year partner, Violet Sinclair. I always want to say happy birthday to her. She's been my business partner.
I feel like I know Violet. I've never met her, but I feel like I know her. Ricky and talked to her.
Believe me, everybody who says that. I'm very protective of Violet. Happy birthday, my little sweetheart.
Good job, Violet, keeping this guy in line. Well done.
15 years by my side. All right, Violet. Moving on with the Zonians. Bonnie Doubleday. Mm-hmm. Another sweetheart from the Canal Zone. Diane Denny. Happy birthday. Yep. Alex Sucre. I believe he was, because I play with a Sucre from the Kiwani Coast. I believe that's him. Alex Sucre. Happy birthday. My very, very good friend who hung out with us all, with Jerry and Marco and the whole motorcycle gang, Frankie Hurt. Happy birthday to him. Matthew Parks, big-time Zonian family. Yeah. Carlos Clark, somebody I grew up with, played with my whole entire life. He's very athletic, incredible basketball player, as well as a good baseball player, and a tremendous Balboa Ram running back. He was a year before me. Carlos Clark, happy birthday to you, Carlos. James Franks, happy birthday. Martin Gramatica from, I believe he's Pedro Miguel, great kid.
No.
I think you remember Martin.
Hold on. That would be, you're thinking of Martin Salamanca. So
Salamanca.
I sent Ricky a screenshot of some birthdays. And some of them they come across on my friends list. That's actually Martin Gramatica.
Gramatica's the kicker. And we're talking about Salamanca. Oh my God. I blew that one. Okay. That's a good one. I don't put Gramatica in there because I'll be.
I'm gonna reach out to him and say, hey, you were on our show, man. People think you're.
You know what I was thinking? Was it Gramatica? Was he like that? Okay. All right. Well, come on, Martin. You're on, man. Right on. Yeah. Armando Puentes also had a birthday, a good friend of ours. He's a couple years ahead of me, but he was at St. Mary's. Not going to say it. Janice Kelly, happy birthday. Richie King, Greg Gramlich, great Balboa Ram football player.
Yeah.
Jaime Martin, my longtime neighbor in El Prado.
Right.
Jaime, happy birthday. Gary Gamboa Henderson, he's my age group. Happy birthday to him, as well as Joni Rich McCoy. I think we've seen her here, right? Joni Rich McCoy. Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, she's chimed in a couple times. She's out in your neck of the woods. She's up there in Northern California. Remember, she's the reporter for Northern California.
Oh, that's why I know her name.
Yes,
Okay. Happy birthday, Joni. I gotta get together with you, girl. All right, this is your Mareda Benninghoff.
Yeah, no, actually, you know what? Again, this is we should have gone over this list beforehand. She's another friend of mine, which is coincidentally because Benninghoff's not a very common name. It's certainly not Smith. And so
I'm sure in Germany it is.
Probably right from the Dusseldorf area, but no, she's just she just has the same last name as me. So we're friends on Facebook. There's another guy in Atlanta named Brian Benninghoff. We're friends on Facebook, but we're not related at all. I do my brother, actually my brother, my oldest brother Brett, which most people don't know, he lives in Atlanta. I've got a funny story to tell about him. That's after this I'll tell you this story. It's a very funny story, but anyway.
Yeah. Kathy Boyle, happy birthday.
Yes,
Quint Underwood, happy birthday. And last but not least, our very, very good friend, photographer, Zonian, great man, great friend, and one of the funniest guys I've ever met, Carlton Morris.
Yes, indeed. You know what? He's been posting a lot of reunion pictures lately on the society page. So make sure you tune in because he's throwing a bunch out there every day. It seems like there's another batch. And I mean, like the other day he threw some out from 2006 and some pictures of myself and my wife and some of my friends. And you're like, wow, that was a long time ago. Holy cow, man! But.
And then my little brother has been trying to call me. I don't know why he doesn't remember. I'm on a podcast. I didn't answer. So, of course, he comes on. Rick, meet us at 8:10 at the Marina Theater. Okay, right now, that's close by to me. All right, we'll see you. Yes, I'm in.
There you go. So that's what this show does. We even make plans for people on this show, too, man. If you guys
how to find me on a Friday.
Throw it in the chat. They're probably listening here. You'll spot
them how to find me on a Friday. All right. Well, we do have one special one we saved for last, and I'll let Willie announce him because Willie was very, very, very close to him.
Yeah, this one is a bittersweet one. This is my original best friend from the Canals and from Panama, just from my whole life in general. Tony DeLuca was my next door neighbor since we were in nursery school. We grew up together. We did so many things together. Played football. He's the first person that ever taught me how to get up on a surfboard. Partied together, got in trouble together a lot, but unfortunately Tony is no longer with us. He's up with the Lord, but today's his birthday, and so Tony, this is for you. Happy birthday, brother. I love you.
For you, Tony, man.
I miss you. Anyway, let's.
Yeah, he was also very close to us, Willie. Our families did family planning. They're Anna Ellie and my sister 6 months apart. Frank and I 6 months apart. Tony and Roby 6 months apart. The twins and Carla 6 months apart. So whenever one would get pregnant, the other one would get pregnant. So they did family planning. So right on, Tony, man. And I do remember you. I remember your first communion. I was there when you two and you guys did your first communion. So yeah, I remember you with Tony and Roby from
Chiquitito. Tony's mom would, when I lived on Amador Road, we'd go to Amador Beach because they had passes. I guess it was like a membership or something. But every Saturday, she would stop. I mean, right there on Amador Road, literally on the road.
Yeah. No, I was there. My mom was in that group too. It was either Kobe or Amador. They'd always take us.
It was so much fun. I mean, just great memories. So anyway, happy birthday to you, Tony, and anyone else that we didn't mention. I only mention people that I have on my friends list. So we keep talking about setting that calendar. There's so many things we got to get done, Ricky. That maybe during the holidays we'll get some of that done. Create that zoning calendar so other people can add their names so we don't miss them. But if we did miss you, not intentional. Nonetheless, here's our festive Panama Murga happy birthday music. Enjoy. go. So that's our happy birthday theme. Again, happy birthday to everybody. If we didn't get you guys, again, not intentional. But let's do this, Ricky. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We've got hold on. Let me look at something here. Let me make sure that I've got this queued up properly. But
hey, Willie, we're right on time, by the way. So congratulations.
This is actually they're doing. Yeah, we're knock on wood. We got this one timed down pretty good.
Timed perfectly, right?
Let's look at a couple of chats because there was quite a few chats flowing through there that we stopped. Of course, the Dupree family is having their online reunion apparently, and Stoke Adventures. I'm not sure who Stoke Adventures is, but they're somehow involved there. Glad you're on the show and hello and Marcelo Nunez, SCN Canals. And Marcelino, did you work at SCN? And if so, man, say hello. We'd love to maybe have you on and chat with us. We had Frank Pereira on about 4 or 5 months ago, and he actually worked there. He was a bigwig, man. Wow. Right? Remember that's been a while ago since we had him on.
Frank's show did very, very well. I mean, that's one of the maybe top 5, I think. His show did quite well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to have him on there. And so, look, there's Ricky getting his plans ready. Hey, did you get our message, man? We're going out.
No. That's everybody likes to watch. Sorry. But people like to watch me when I'm live. That's why I'm on Instagram Live. So, but I'm having a hard time, and I think it doesn't work very well. Instagram Live?
Something's not working. We were supposed to try and stream to Instagram tonight. We thought we had it set up, but it's showing me an error message on there, so it's not streaming to Instagram apparently. But nonetheless, it is what it is. But yeah, we're going to take a quick break. Go ahead and refill your drinks and enjoy the short video of an upcoming documentary that we're working on in the construction of the Panama Canal, which really excited for that and some things that we're going to have in the works for that starting in January. But enjoy that, and we'll be right back.
Deep within the jungles of Central America lies the Isthmus of Panama, a narrow strip of land connecting North and South America as well as dividing the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. It is here, in Panama, that explorers dared to imagine the impossible, a path to join the world. King Charles of Spain commissioned a research expedition to survey a canal in the isthmus in 1567. He was searching for a way to shorten months of perilous sea travel around Cape Horn in South America. In the middle of the 1800s, Great Britain also surveyed the isthmus for a canal route and a shortcut to Asia. Finally, in 1881, the French diplomat and Suez Canal builder Ferdinand de Lesseps tried to replicate his efforts in Panama. But unlike the flat and soft sand in Egypt, the stifling jungles, rocky terrain and disease in Panama proved to be a much different and more challenging landscape. This challenge proved to be too much and resulted in failure. As the new century began, the United States took up the challenge of cutting through the continental divide. America was fast becoming a global power. Her new industrial might and ingenuity were about to be showcased to the world. Excavating the impossible, the building of the Panama Canal, is the story of dreams brought forth from failure, of innovative leaders and men who toiled and sacrificed to see two oceans united. It's a story of technology, of courage, and of unbreakable human spirit. This 5-part series will be the most comprehensive and detailed account of the building of the Panama Canal. We'll begin with a journey back 4 centuries to the Spanish Empire and their colonial aspirations, followed by British attempts in the 19th century, and finally culminating with the failed French attempt at the end of the 1800s. Part 2, we'll enter a new century and see the emergence of America and Teddy Roosevelt, with a bold and ambitious plan for a canal where others said it couldn't be done. We'll learn about the early plans, the logistics, the companies and people involved. In Part 3, we'll learn about early hurdles, poor decisions and setbacks that almost doomed the American endeavor. And we'll see how America changed direction and overcame the early stumbling blocks and turned failure into progress. Part 4 will cover the incredible project of surveying, excavating, damming and building of the world's most important waterway, all while engaged in a relentless fight against disease, weather, and terrain. Finally, Part 5 reveals the steps in completing this strategic waterway and the first ships that crossed a fully operational Panama Canal, changing global trade forever. This is the most complete and researched authoring of the construction of the eighth wonder of the world. This is a comprehensive story behind one of the greatest engineering marvels in human history, excavating the impossible, the building of the Panama Canal.
All right, guys. So, yeah, I'm excited to do that. It's coming along really well. There's still some lot more research going on, but I've combed the National Archives, the Library of Congress, and gotten a ton of information and some really awesome footage too. So, I'm excited. To me, the most exciting part about it is some of the things that I've learned. You know, we know the basics. We know the canal was 50 miles. We know that it was raising ships up to 85 feet and the length of the locks, the width, and all that. But what I wanted to learn was how they started this whole thing, right? I mean, there had to be day one. Somewhere somebody put a shovel in the ground and dug up that first piece of ground that prior to that was all wilderness and jungles and all the other stuff. And then you fast forward, of course, 10 years later, and you actually have a ship going through these huge locks and concrete and everything. But how did that excavation take place? How did they organize the people involved, moving the rail lines? You know, a trip. You know, one of the things we're going to do on there is, you know, you're sitting in a rail car and you're moving that dirt, that rock from, let's say, Culebra Cut, and now you're laying that out somewhere that's eventually going to become Balboa. Well, what was that trip like? All those things that you've never seen in a documentary before. Again, the documentaries have all been very short-lived. They're very, you know, they're very basic, very 100,000-foot view. Where this one wants to get down to 5,000 feet and really see the details involved, who did what, how often they did it, and so it's really exciting. I'm just absolutely thrilled at the amount of information that's out there, that's available out there. So. I'm really looking forward to it. Really excited for that. And cool. So check this out. So these people are staying over at Cascadas Lodge. They live in Tahoe and in Costa Rica. Awesome. And so they met Frank and Flor staying at Andy's awesome Cascada Lodge.
Oh, right on. Yeah, right on. And one of our sponsors too. So I'm glad that you guys are there. Tell them we sent you.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. They're supposed to give you some kind of a discount, I think, or something free, I think, maybe like a cup of ice or something. I don't know. But hey, Rich, how you doing, man? Good to see you on the show again, man. Rich, every Friday night.
Rich
Tuesday
Martin,
well.
yes, good friend of the show. Appreciate it, Rich.
Absolutely.
So the Instagram Live is doing pretty good, Willie. It has been very stable. So I think it was the time why we weren't getting on earlier. It's too busy.
Yeah, well, there's still a glitch in there somewhere because what Ricky's talking about is he set up his Instagram Live on his phone. That's why you just saw him holding up his phone just now in front of the screen. So, you know, it's kind of a piecemeal way of getting, you know, some Instagram presence on there. I'm still fairly new to Instagram, in all honesty. But there is a way on this streaming platform to stream also to Instagram while we're streaming to Facebook and YouTube.
I
thought I set it up, but it's showing in the error code right now. So the show itself is not streaming live, but Ricky's got it in the background of his phone.
On my account, right, which is public now. So you can.
Hello to everybody on Instagram on Ricky's account. Good to have you guys on as well. But so it's November, right? November, of course, we think of Thanksgiving, we think of Black Friday, all the shopping and everything. But if you recall, down in Panama, November started right from the beginning of the month. And that's el mes de la patria, that's las fiestas patrias, which basically is very much a patriotic month. It is the most patriotic month for Panama because they celebrate their independence days. They celebrate the creation of their flag. They have a flag day also in November. And again, it's coincidence, probably, maybe, that both of their main independence were in November. They actually have a third independence that's somewhat recognized. That one actually occurred, I want to say 1840, January. I think it was like January 18th. and they actually called themselves at that point El Estado del Istmo. In other words, the state of the isthmus. Very short-lived, maybe a couple of months, and they realized that the grass wasn't greener, and they went back to Gran Colombia.
Yes.
But anyhow, we're going to talk about all that in our other segment here. We do a lot of stuff here talking about the zone. Obviously, this show is really about the zone and our history, the memories of growing up there, and our parents.
In our host nation.
Yeah, well, that's the other piece. But the main component of Happy Hour at the Balboa Yacht Club is to relive the memories of this now gone place of the Canal Zone. But as we have learned, we have a lot of people that are watching us also from Panama. Both Ricky and I, although we are Zonians and certainly lived in the Canal Zone, born and raised there, but we also have family on the Panama side. Ricky on both sides of his family. For me, my mom's Panamanian, my dad's American. And Ricky's family certainly has a history. I mean, Ricky can very proudly claim that his great-grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the country in a lot of ways. So this is, a lot of rich history there, but it was also a history for all of us living here. And so we want to learn about that as well as learn about the Canal Zone history that we didn't learn necessarily in school. And so we do have a segment here about Panama, which we're going to kick off now, and again celebrate these meses de la patria here in Panama. All right, el que parpadea pierde. I remember hearing that down in Panama.
I remember hearing saying that.
That's the equivalent in English of if you snooze, you lose, right? And
correct.
So, but it was kind of a funny saying that we decided to throw in there. Let me see here. Are you really new to Instagram? My husband made me say it. Yeah, I am new to Instagram, sort of, kind of. I'm mostly Facebook, but everybody's on Instagram, so we got to get on there as well.
I'm the one that's always on Instagram. I got the follow me.
Instagram guy. He's got that angle covered, so I figured I might as well quit fighting it and join it as
peaceful.
well. So,
it's peaceful. Facebook's
it's
a little too harsh for me. That's why I went with a peaceful Instagram.
Facebook, to me, I find Facebook to be more of a community-oriented type get-up now.
Right. No. The Canal Zone
with ads and shit all the time, whereas you can jump into like the Pan Canal Society group, and there's plenty of stories. And
that is true, Willie. I didn't mean to diss it, but it is true. The Canal Zone part of the Facebook is mellow and community-based. But I'm talking in general, like No, some other platforms in general, they're just so difficult. But Instagram seems to be quite peaceful, and but it's not, of course. It's not working with our platform, so how good can they be? Hey, Mr. Glover, how are you, sir?
Our most robust crew on this show is our repair team, because we've always got something broken we got to fix, man. And now it's going to be the Instagram. Like, we'll figure that shit out.
Well, that's that help we need. We need that production help. We really do.
We really do. We really do. If somebody can help and wants to join us and produce the show for us, it would really help. I run the graphics during the show, and sometimes it creates a bit of a disengagement, and sometimes I want to update things, and it's hard to do while trying to run the show live. So if somebody is interested in helping us out, by all means, reach out. But Jim, we mentioned some golf stuff earlier. Going to reach out to you, talk to you about it, because we want to try and do something. Not sure yet. We're still kind of wrapping our heads around it, but there is a lot of golf in the zone, and golf is something that goes way back. And there's a lot of golf tournaments out and about. You've got a couple of tournaments yourself, and we'd like to, if nothing else, maybe kind of create a leaderboard, and because a lot of people do participate in several of these golf outings, and so it'd be kind of fun to follow throughout the year what all the Zonian golfers are doing, and maybe create something that, who knows, could result in maybe take the top 5 or 10 and pair them up at the Canal Zone reunion golf tournament, like a grand finale of some kind or something.
I think we're on to something pretty good here, Willie. I can't wait to just completely put it together. I mean, we're still right now just like learning the dates and who the sponsors are and that kind of stuff. But if you're out there and you know about this, let us know. We want to make this big in our show and always follow up on it. And Willie and I can invest a little money on some awards for the best score, hole in one,
Sure.
closest to a hole, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we can figure
So
something
right
out.
on,
I think it'll
Willie.
be fun to chase that around. We'll
I
play that
think
one by ear,
it'll
but
add
we'll
a
keep
good
developing it.
component. It'll add a good component to our show, like the cooking component that we're trying to bring on as well, and the football component and the history component. I mean, we got components all day long, man. That's why 44 shows, nada for us. We got easily another 44 without a problem.
Right on, and look what Jim's saying here. Right on. I like the way you think.
Yeah, the
exactly.
Canal Zone Masters. They actually call that one. Yeah, sorry, will I keep interrupting? I don't know what's wrong with me
No,
tonight.
I like that though. I like what he's coming up with there. That would be kind of cool if we could do that. And again, there's going to be other people playing, but we could at least pair up the folks that are, that are part
like
of
a little side tournament. A little side tournament. Got it. That's and that seems to be the sorry, I got
the thing with the stuff.
Sorry, Instagram kind of screwed something up there. Where were we?
You see what I mean? This is what I go through all the time with the. That's why we need a producer, man. It's not easy.
You can't do too much at the same time, man.
Well,
sorry, buddy. Sorry, I didn't know what I was doing, buddy, and I got screwed up there. So sorry.
And guys on the show, never mind. Ricky's going to talk to his people on Instagram. We just have to wait and just.
I know. It's just my first live ever on Instagram, so I'm just trying to figure out how it works. But what I was saying is that the reunion tournament's called the Chagres Invitational. So this will be like a side thing to it that NBA's now doing side shows, side tournaments.
And really all it is keeping a side score, because they're going to be playing their regular golf tournament. But at the end of that tournament, whatever their score is, we're going to have our group of these quote unquote finalists, and we'll figure out who our winner is and have our own, whatever thing. But, we don't want to step on toes. We're not going to go in here and try and do something in the reunion golf.
Yeah, right. We got to find our place.
We just want to have something fun to follow the golfers because there's a lot of them and there's quite a few of these golf outings throughout the year. So I think it'd just be kind of fun. Maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. So just a work.
We got to jump on it.
Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, we got to jump on it. We got 2 tournaments coming up, January and February. So we got to get.
Can follow the scores all we want. I'm just saying, as far as doing something at the reunion, that's we'll wait and see. If not, we'll just award something on the side.
And speaking of the reunion, don't you think you and I should have like a show from there, Willie? What's your thoughts on that?
I would love to do a happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club live for the reunion.
That would work.
That would be kind of fun, but you know what? We don't want to. We got to talk to the powers that be and figure out what they want to do. And obviously, we're here to help out, especially with Carl with his new gig there and Kelly. But Bill McLaughlin's still involved, and this guy's an event planner extraordinaire. So they certainly don't need our help per se in that sense. But something that might be fun to do, especially bringing some of the younger crowd in. We could hopefully help draw some of that. But anyway,
yes.
Not a bad idea. It would be something to explore for sure. But let's get back to our Panama segment here, because that's what we're here to talk about, right? Is the Panama segment. Hold on, we'll give you Williams kind of give you okay, right on. I'll take it for sure. Reunion tournament. Reunion tournament is now a scramble format. Tough to get individual scores without another side. Oh, true. Okay. Yeah, see, that's why we want to start talking this out before we start putting stuff out there. But at least we planted the seed, so we'll get something figured out. And if not, then we'll have to figure out something else on the side, one way or the other. But
yeah, we're going to make it work because it's big. It's a big Canal Zone thing. The whole golf, like Cayuco. We follow that. Football, we follow that. Might as well follow.
Yeah, no, it is, man. And golf, listen, golf's a lot of fun, and the Zonians do it all the time here in Florida for sure. We've got golf.
Did you have Did you have a tournament this last weekend with the boys?
No,
or was just you guys just went out?
Just a golf outing. Yeah, we do that quite a bit. There's a at Saddlebrook, which you mentioned there. That's a pretty nice resort, actually, a nice area here, just right nearby us here. We actually have a group that gets together there quite regularly and plays. It's a lot of fun. We usually get about 3 or 4 foursomes to hang out together, and it's always a great time when you get Zonians together. So, so. Back to Panama. So we start this segment here, and we ain't said one darn thing about Panama yet. But let's go ahead and get into our segment here about Panama, because November's big in Panama, right? It's the most patriotic month for Panama as a country. A lot of things to be proud of, and a lot of us remember seeing these. Remember on Independence Day, the parade. And to me, what always sticks out in watching that parade on TV was the high school marching bands. Man, they love to beat those drums, man. They had some.
There you could hear it throughout the whole Canal Zone. It was always during football season, and you could hear them practicing, and we'd be in practice, dancing to them.
Yeah,
that thing would reverberate. The whole Balboa would hear it easily.
Man.
Yeah,
yeah.
You're right, dude. Think about that. They hear drums miles away over Ancon Hill and everything.
Well, and that's why way back in the day, for militaries in battle, drum was a way of communicating. Either horns or trumpets.
Oh yeah, yeah. The cavemen, the cavemen. I'm sure
those are basically calling plays. Yeah, exactly. A certain drum beat would say, move the formation this way or have these people attack or whatever it was. It was all communicated drums because that sound carried a long way, man. But anyhow, so it is Meses Patria. And so let's talk about the first thing here, which is Dia de la Bandera, the 4th of November. So at the beginning of the month, a day before that, of course, was our independence from Colombia, which ended up obviously resulting in the Panama Canal. But we're going to touch on that one last because that was the most recent one. The original independence from Spain came at the end of the month, and we're going to talk about that one first. But let's talk about the flag, right? A couple of interesting things that I learned about the flag and Flag Day, the 4th of November. So, we know Amador Guerrero, Manuel Amador Guerrero was one of the founding fathers of the nation. Well, the flag design was done by Manuel Amador Guerrero's son, who is also Manuel Amador Guerrero. He designed the actual flag, and his mom, Maria Osa de Amador, was who actually, her and a couple of friends sewed it together and created that first flag. And as you can see on the image there on the screen, very iconic flag. Obviously, we recognize it at one point. A lot of us that were still down there, we saw that big giant flag rise up on top of Ancon Hill, right? A flag that I believe is the size of a basketball court, if I'm not mistaken. But on days that it's windy, it's an impressive sight to see that big hill and have that big giant flag, furled out in the wind there. But so the flag, the symbolism.
Yeah, even the one in Ancon was majestic, my friend. Yeah,
gigantic, absolutely. It was a presence, And at night they have it lit up and everything. It really is. If you take all the. When it first went up, obviously us as Zonians probably didn't like seeing that because it kind of was, when you conquer a place, you take the high point and you plant your flag there, right? So that had its symbolism there, but that's not what we're here to discuss. What we're going to talk about, again, is the history of Panama, and in this case, the history of the flag and the symbolism of that flag, right?
The red, white, and blue.
Yeah, well, the flags, flags all over the world are very symbolic, right? Here in the United States, our flag, Old Glory, it has 13 stars and stripes, which represent the 13 original colonies, and then it has 50 stars, which currently represent the 50 states. If Ricky had his way, it'd be 51 stars with Panama, the 51st state, but that'll be a later discussion in a few years down the road, hopefully. Right?
Hey, everybody thought I was crazy when I first came out with that, but we're moving closer and closer.
There's getting a little buy-in. You're getting some of my buy-in there.
It's never going to happen. But my intention was just to let's get back together, guys.
We like the dream, right?
Let's get back together, guys, and regroup and restart this all over again. This relationship between us. Hey, because listen, Will, at the end of the day, I lived that relationship. All right.
Holy cow, you do.
You're right,
brother. Anyway, so the symbolism of our flag, okay? 3 main colors, red, white, and blue, okay? The colors, blue and red, represent the 2 dominant political parties at the time, the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party. Interestingly enough, though, not to get into politics, but here in the United States, the Conservative Party is red, the Liberal Party is blue, right? In Panama and on these flags here, the blue was for the Conservatives and the red was for the Liberal Party. Okay, so that was the 2 blue colors. The stars represent the commitment to civic responsibility and harmony. Okay, and so and they have opposing colors. So in other words, civic responsibility towards the other party and harmony towards the other party. And then the white color, which across the board, it's universally known, white is symbolic of peace, right? You have the white doves and things of that nature. So that was what the white in the flag stood for. So kind of cool design, very simple, but very recognizable, right? And certainly unique, and one that we've come to recognize. At one point, we looked up at the admin and we saw the American flag on the left and the Panamanian on the right. And then at one point, again, a symbolic gesture, they flip-flopped, right? And the Panamanian was on the left, the American on the right, as they now assumed, the ascendancy and taking over. And then finally, they just took him down and just put up the one flag as all one country. But nonetheless, that's the symbolism of that flag. It was officially adopted in March 25th of 1925. So it was accepted prior to that, but it wasn't officially adopted until then.
1925. Wow.
Yeah.
That's 20 plus years later. Yeah.
And it's remained unchanged since then. So, that's
Willie, during your
research.
Was there a flag they used during those 20 odd years before, or they just didn't?
It was accepted, but just not officially recognized. In other words, they didn't pass the official decree until 1925.
Got it.
So,
they
were
we're
still
a
using
slow.
it, but I guess somebody figured out one day and said, hey, can we use this flag? And they're like, no, this is a flag. And I said, well, what do you mean? I want to use this flag. They're like, well, this is the official flag. And he says, says who? Oh, hey, we need to vote on this. Is this the official flag? Yep. All right, here we go. It's done. So
20 years to figure that out.
But it took them a little while to figure that out. But listen, Panama's never fast about a lot of things, okay? They've been around. Look, it took them 200 years to knock Spain off of their back, okay? So let's not think that Panama moves fast on any of these things, right? They take their time. They go ahead and take it easy, right?
That's a good one. 200 years to get Spain off their back. That is true. Yeah. Let's get into that conversation.
Yeah, a great segue then, right? To get into, talking about Spain then. So here's something interesting then about this one, because this one on the calendar occurred later in the month, but obviously occurred much earlier as far as chronology goes. So on the screen there, and if you can read the name on there, it says Jose de Fabrega. And it's interesting because we're going to talk about who this guy is and what role he played, because we hear about the names like Amador and Arango and all these guys. These are very prominent names there, but we don't often hear this name here. And this was another name of somebody that was very pivotal in that entire transition. So let's figure out what went on there when it came to this independence. So the official independence from Spain came in 1821. So it was definitely a lot sooner than the one from Colombia. It was on November 28th, towards the end of the month. But this was about a 10-day process that we're going to learn here. Okay, a couple interesting things on what took place here. This was at a time when there was a lot of independence movements going around. Simón Bolívar, as we've heard, was in South America doing this stuff. But it was also an independence in Haiti. Haiti was the first independent country in the Caribbean. Even though now it's no, we won't get into Haiti now, but nonetheless, they gained their independence a long time ago. Okay, so there was that movement around in the Americas in general, the United States in 1776, right? Think about time frames and how close or far those times are. For us, the Panama Canal, the Canal Zone, ceased to exist in 1979, right? After that, it was a canal authority and all that other stuff. The commission came into play. And to us, now we're here in 2024. It wasn't that long ago. It's still very fresh in our memories that we were Zonians and the Canal Zone was alive and well, and then suddenly it became something else. So, if you think back then, 1776, well, in the 1820s, that hasn't been that long where people are still, kind of digging this whole thing about getting off the colonies now and becoming your own independent state. So that was going on. But there was a lot of other things that played a role there. Remember I told you guys that France played a role. Obviously, we know building a canal or attempting to and failed that one and how they played a role there. We're going to learn about how, Buenaventura, we learned some of that, from Dave about some of those negotiations, but they played another very pivotal role in that, which we're going to learn here as well. Again, on behalf of France in a way, But if you go back to 1800s, France played a much bigger role in not just the independence of Panama, but the independence of all these countries in South America. So in the early 1800s, France was ruled by none other than Napoleon Bonaparte. And we have all learned in history about his conquest in Europe and everything he was doing there. Well, there was a conflict that started in 1807 called the Peninsular Wars. And this is where France invaded Spain and Portugal. And it didn't take long to take over and knock them off. He knocked the president off, or the king, and he established his own, which was his cousin, if I'm not mistaken. Another Bonaparte was now the king of Spain. So that battle and everything ensued. It took several years. It wasn't something that was quick. That drained a lot of resources from Spain. Okay, that took a lot of their. You got to remember the only way that you maintained colonies was through military. Right, you had military fortifications throughout the Americas, and that's what kept control of these places. Well, you get this now. You're invaded. Your king has been deposed. They have a new king in there. A lot of the people and the colonists here that were still Spaniards in the military were loyal to the original Spanish king. And so you lost a lot of that military. So there was a lot of lack of control there. Again, you had the Americas were now going through these changes of revolutions and independence. So that was kind of a new enlightenment in people's minds. And then you have something really interesting that plays a role here. The term Creole. We've heard the term Creole before, right? When you look at Spain, you look at the New Worlds in general. And the same thing took place actually in the United States, in fact. There's talk, for example, of in the New World, you think of our founding fathers in the United States, okay? And this is just a map here of what that region that was fought over, okay? There's the Peninsular Wars that we're talking about. This whole area was invaded by France, and they took over the center. So it wasn't like they just took over the country and it was a done deal, right? There was obviously an opposition there. There was a ongoing conflict that took years to finally settle. But ultimately, while that was going on, it really destabilized everything going on in the New World. Okay, here's the Spanish emblem, whatever you want to call it, on the left side. On the right side, it was a new one with France. And probably the more prominent thing is that you notice that big blue emblem in the middle of it with the bird. That was symbolic of France and how they kind of were overseeing what was going on in Spain. Okay. But now we go down to South America, and here's Simon Bolivar, who's obviously one of these people that's being influenced to start looking at these places being independent. These guys, you got to remember, have been under the thumb of Spain now for 200 years. Okay, that's a long time. The colonies were there for one reason and one reason only: to fund Spain.
Take the gold, right?
They had something called El Quinto, okay, which is the fifth, which means that they were taxed 20% of everything that they did in those colonies. All commerce was taxed in order to fund Spain, in addition to all the gold and silver and treasures that they were taking and mining from South America. But they were also, everybody in these colonies was required to pay a tax. You know, we learned that in the American history too, you know, taxation without representation, all of those things, the Stamp Act. That stuff was going on with Spain as well. These guys were tired of that. They were tired of being under the thumb of Spain. And now all of a sudden you find yourself where Spain is involved in their own internal conflict. And guess what? They're quite distracted. They don't have as much resources in Panama to defend themselves and to keep things going there. And so, again, this is where we look at this parallel with the United States, okay? There's a picture here of the Founding Fathers. And what was interesting and unique about this, and very similar to what we talked about with the Creoles in South America, the Founding Fathers were all born in the United States. I think Alexander Hamilton was the exception. I think he was born in Nevis in the Caribbean, but then ended up going to the United States anyway. None of these folks, though, were from England originally. And if you think about us Zonians, right, especially some of us multi-generational Zonians, you know, you think of the Dahlstroms, right, and the Smiths. They've got 4 and 5 generations. You know, Frank Dupree mentioned last week that they've got several generations in a zone. So these guys, they're Americans, but they were growing up in the zone. And so how often did, and I'm sure Frank could attest to this, and Dodd and Jill, and that we were Zonians, we were Americans, but we're Zonians first, right? That was almost where our loyalty was, right? Remember, in fact, the T-shirts to Jimmy from the Canal Zone, that kind of stuff. This was all part of being part of that culture, but yet we're different because we've been raised in a different place. And so that happened with the United States, but it also happened in South America. All these people, once Spain started focusing on their internal war with France, they let local governors in these viceroyalties all over South America govern themselves. And they started forming these juntas. Why? Because they were loyal to the original King Ferdinand. They were not loyal to Bonaparte and his ruling party there. And so they started ruling things themselves independently. And eventually, Spain started to lose control. Because as these people became more autonomous, they started doing their own things. One of the things that suffered greatly, and this is where it really impacted Panama, was in the trade. Okay, Panama's entire trade, and for that matter, all their economy depended on trade with Spain. Because remember, Spain established colonies not for international trade, not to go to Panama or go to Peru to make money. You went down there to serve the crown and make money for the crown. And right now, the crown is involved in an internal fight and in civil war, in essence. They don't have time to do these things. So all of these people now are suffering. There's not a lot of business. Piracy is kicking up again because you don't have as much military down there to protect these people. So it's becoming a really ugly situation really fast. Lo and behold, Napoleon Bonaparte and the French are defeated. They're kicked out of Spain. The king returns to power. But guess what? All these colonies now have gotten a bit of a taste of independence. Some of these merchants in these areas now have said, hey, in order for me to survive, I got to start developing trade with my own network here locally. And so they started expanding business to outside of Spain. And when Spain comes back and says, hey, everything's great now, we're back, you guys are back working for us, they're like, I don't think so. And that's where those first movements of independence came. These people were losing money and they knew they couldn't depend on Spain anymore. Plus, they realized Spain was broke now, and they were going to squeeze every nickel and dime out of these people in order to try and, recapture that stuff. So,
yeah,
so this is
McKinney and Roosevelt were after them too.
Absolutely.
The new kids on the block.
Well, but that's later on. Remember, this is in 1820. This is the 1800s, 1815, 1817, in those areas. Okay, so fast forward then a couple of years. That war's over. Everything's great. Panama and the colonies return to what they assume is, status quo. And this is where the guy on that stamp that I showed you, that Jose Fabrega, plays a role. Okay, so the governor in Panama at the time, as the war ended in Spain, these uprisings started to kick up in South America. Okay, and the interesting thing is that outside of Panama, all these other independence movements involved war and bloodshed and whatnot, but in Panama it was 100% bloodless. It was unbelievable how that worked out. But what happened was the governor went and took again, a governor from Spain, from the royal crown, took the military over to Ecuador to put down an uprising down there. And he appointed Fabrega as the interim governor. And Fabrega said, yeah, absolutely, I'll take care of this. Man, as soon as they got on that ship and got the hell out of Panama, went to Ecuador, Fabrega's like, we ain't doing that shit. We're not going to do that. It's time to get rid of Spain. He was already on board that the independence was something you couldn't stop now. It was in the works. It was going to happen. So you fast forward into 1821. Okay, now things have really, really kicked off. The independence movement is really in full swing. We go to the province of Los Santos, right? Off of the peninsula Azuero down there, we're near Las Tablas and all that area. So November 10th of 1821, in Los Santos, there is they call it El Grito de la Independencia, the scream for independence. It wasn't the cry for independence, not a scream. It's lost in translation, but the cry for independence. It wasn't really a message, something they verbalized. It was an action. Okay, in Los Santos, in the cover of night, this group led by and I'm pretty sure I have it here, led by a woman, and I got her name here somewhere. I gotta find it here, but she's the one that led this. They took over a police or a military headquarters in Los Santos.
Correa.
No, she's almost old enough to do that, but it wasn't her though. But they took over this military headquarters, and the few Spanish troops that were there are just like, dude, this is your beef. Remember, these guys have been forced to go and exert their military power overseas. Okay, back in the 1800s, Panama is not the Panama of today with air conditioning and mosquito free and all that stuff. It's not a nice place to be in. So these troops are probably outnumbered 3 or 4 to 1. They're like, dude, do whatever you want, man. We're good. And that spread quickly, okay, because that was November 10th. And now you fast forward to November 28th, and Fabregat and these guys, they declare independence. They just point blank declare it. There's nobody there to stop them. It is immediately recognized, and they're like, okay, we're good to go. So at that point, Panama is independent of Spain, November 28th of 1821, but it was only for a few months. Okay. One thing they did recognize was that at some point, Spain is going to come back. They're going to retaliate. They're going to come back and take this place over. And, back in those days, there was a lot less diplomacy and a lot more force. So they recognize this, and they realize that our only chance to survive outside of the clutches of Spain is to join New Granada, which eventually became New Colombia and become that big country for onwards of about 60 years, 70 years until things changed again. But that's where the original independence of Panama came from Spain. And again, it was brought on because of France invading Spain and creating such turmoil there that they could no longer control their colonies. And these people, they saw what United States did, they saw what Haiti did, and all these other places. They're like, hey, we're out of here, man. They even saw what France did. Remember, just a few years prior to that, France overthrew their king. The guillotine, the Bastille, and all that. And so even there, that there was the movements to get rid of monarchies and say we're not under the rule of a monarchy just because they were born to it. That's not the way it works. And that's where that independence came. So then in the calendar, guys, we move back now in the month of November to the beginning of November. On the year calendars, we're going to move forward about 60 years, right? And this is now the second Independence Day of Panama. Technically the third, because that one in 1840 lasted about 4 days, and they realized that was a kind of a stupid mistake. But move forward to 1903, and Panama now is part of Colombia, but of course, as we know it now, that history there, they ended up becoming part of, an independent country, and therefore we were able to then, build a canal and all that good stuff. So interesting story there. What happened with that, okay? Couple of interesting pieces that played a significant factor there. And Ricky, you'll certainly recognize this, but back then you had the 1,000 Days War. Okay, the 1,000 Days War was that civil war that Ricky's referred to several times as we've talked about Panama in the past in their history. That was that war between the conservatives and the liberals. Okay, big time power struggle in Colombia, very bloody, a lot of death, and that one carried over into Panama. Okay, it hit Panama a lot. Not that Panama really wanted anything to do with it, but they just happened to be caught up in it because, again, Panama was a strategic place. Whether it was for Spain or for Colombia, it still had that strategic importance of that passageway. So here's what happens. The 1,000 Day Wars kicks off. It falls into Panama. There's a lot of bloodshed, a lot of fighting going on in Panama. The war finally comes to an end. A very precarious end, though. It wasn't something that everybody was just happy to end it. It stayed very tedious, and as you know, even up until today, there's still guerrilla wars going on in Colombia. So it is a place where it seems like a lot of differences get settled with guns as opposed to being diplomatic. But nonetheless, if you guys remember when Panama started taking over the Canal Zone, Amador is one of the first bases to transition over. So we all still went out to the causeway, but we drove past the barracks, which are now Panama barracks. And they had the one sign up there on the barracks that was called Victoriano Lorenzo. You guys remember that? Okay. This guy was a top dog in the opposition during that 1,000 Days War. Okay. He really got some people in Panama involved in the fighting and whatnot. He was somebody that when the war ended, the Colombian government captured him right as the war ended. And this was what was very controversial. He was held prisoner. The war was officially over. Everybody had signed the peace accords. Everything was officially done. They took this guy and they tried him on one day in the morning. And at 12 noon, he was sentenced to death. And an hour later, he was killed. So he became a martyr, for Panama. And hence the reason why we ended up seeing it, 100 years later almost, that, Victoriano Lorenzo didn't have any idea who this guy was until I read about this. But think about him sitting in the background now, and that's something that's kind of irritated the locals there because he was Panamanian. Technically there wasn't a Panama then, but he was a native of that area, so he was part of their group. Then you had something else that occurred. Okay, you had that. It's the Hayes. What's that treaty, Ricky? It's the Hayes.
Henan or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Hernan.
That one. Yes. That was the treaty where the United States signed with Colombia to build a canal there. That was signed in January. Everything's good to go. Okay, we're going to get a canal built there. And then you fast forward to August, and the Colombian Senate says, we're not doing this. We don't like this deal. It's a bad deal, whatever.
No, they said we will do this, but we're going to, reduce the square footage of the,
in other words, they wanted to renegotiate.
Yeah,
and the United States said, no, we're not renegotiating.
Yeah,
correct. So they did away with it. They actually did not ratify it. So the treaty was null and void. Okay.
Correct.
This was the straw that broke the camel's back with the locals in Panama. Again, we can't refer them as Panamanians yet because they're not Panama. They're still part of Colombia. But they had a lot of things going on. This 1,000-day war had really wrecked the Panama economy as well. So there was a lot of unhappiness there. There was a lot of mistrust with the Colombian government. You take the Victoriano Lorenzo situation, that really pissed them off because this is one of their own people. We agree that the war's over, we surrender, and then you turn around and you execute the guy. So that did not sit well with them at all. And now they're thinking, okay, well, at least if we get this canal built here, this is going to be good because it'll boost our economy. Panama can become an important place, or this province of Colombia can become important. And then they pull the rug from under them and say, no, we're not doing this treaty. We don't like it. It's out. So in August of 1903, the Colombian Senate says no to that treaty. And some locals in Panama, and it was led by, I believe his name was Arango. They formed a committee. And these guys said, hey, wait a minute, then let's approach the United States. Let's set something up ourselves. I'm pretty sure they'll back us. I would assume that Teddy Roosevelt had already made inroads anyway. Maybe he was sending envoys or messaging saying to Panama, hey, if you guys, being that Colombia did this, I understand you guys aren't getting along. Let's talk. Long story short.
And Bonavilla was also the middleman also.
Correct. He was in Washington because all this time now, you got to remember, the French Canal had already ended several years before. Okay, it didn't end in 1903. That program went bankrupt still in the 1800s, 1898, I think it was.
Yeah.
But this guy he saw an opportunity there. There were still signed contracts. There was still a lot of rights that the French had, and he wanted to make some money off this. So he had been in Washington for a while. He had a lot of connections there. He had been talking, making the rounds. So this group in Panama decides, hey, let's go and have some conversations with these guys in Panama or in the United States and see what we can do. So they sent Manuel Guerrero Amador. They sent him there, but very, very covert because the Colombian government was not hip to that and they did not want them to get wind of it. Again, they just came off of that 1,000-day war, so they weren't very trusting of the Colombian government. They were really concerned about what retaliation could take place. So they actually sent him to Jamaica first, and from there he got on a steamer, went to New York, got on a train, and went to Washington. And there he met with the Washington officials, the U.S. government officials, and also with Buena Maria to strategize on how to sell it to them. And from there, the rest we know is pretty much history. They figured out a plan that said, yeah, you know what? We'll give you this land. We'll give you this treaty in perpetuity. 100 years really meant perpetuity or whatever the case was. But that was pretty much it. The U.S. at that point, kind of said, hey, we'll take care of Colombia. Don't worry. We'll put a ship there on the coast, show them who's the boss. We'll throw some money their way and everything will be good. So that was that Independence Day. It really came to be again. The French in this case, because of their failure, is what brought the United States in and said, hey, we're going to do this. And, timing could have been better. Had it happened any other time, I'm not sure the U.S. gets involved, in all honesty. Teddy Roosevelt really was somebody that wanted to expand the United States footprint. And he saw the canal as a very, very strategic opportunity there. So, again, timing couldn't have been better for that. He was very receptive to the idea. And the rest, Dave Dahlstrom, our historian, non-historian, has showed us what happened from there and how the United States came to be, the head of the canal zone for a long time. But those are the independence that Panama had. They're very interesting, fascinating stories, in both cases. Whereas in a lot of these areas, including here in the United States, independence came at a high price, right? A lot of lives were lost. A lot of blood was spilled. And in both times in Panama, both leaving Spain and leaving Colombia.
2 times, yeah. Bloodless.
No, absolutely.
Blessed, a blessed country.
So
all the way
for
around.
Panama, you got some negotiating skills and some ways of doing things that have worked out well. But so that's cool,
and
guys.
they're still like that. Panamanians are still like that. They're more diplomatic than they are aggressive nature.
100%. Look at the role like you showed us that Panama's played recently, with regards to Venezuela and with regards to, these caravans of migrants in Darien and the province there. And so, Panama's front and center. And, listen, the canal put Panama on center stage in the world and world commerce. So it's been a great 100 years for Panama to learn how to be the diplomat of the world, because you have to. Everybody wants to cater Panama at some point or not, because if you're going to do any kind of world trade, you got to have Panama as a friendly country. So it's
right now the Chinese government has a full frontal program to be friendly with the Panamanian government. I mean, they're all allowed spending in promoting Chinese relations with Panama.
Yeah, for sure.
But the new government's pro-U.S. So, but anyways, we do business with anybody because, like you said, diplomatic. The Panamanian is a diplomat.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, but anyway, I thought that was an interesting way to talk about the history of Panama, especially this month, because again, the month of November is very, very patriotic for Panama. You see the flags up there everywhere, all over the place, and it's just a lot of fun. And again, my memory of it is those drum corps from the high schools during that big parade. It was good time.
And it's the last month of rainy season, and the summer's coming in for Panama. So it's a great month.
Holidays are around the corner, so it just kicks off the festive, fun time to be a Panamanian, to be in Panama for sure. So, that was really, really, really interesting there. A lot of good stuff there that we talked about. So, anyhow, let's. Our timing has been pretty good on this one, Ricky.
We're killing it, man. We're doing great. Hey, wait, I want to mention one.
Forces Television. SCN.
Go ahead.
Let this thing kick off. The volume will drop down here in just a second. Just wrap it up here. Yeah, we got. Yeah, dale, pues.
No, I got a text, Willie. 828 area code. I think that's North Carolina. Mentioning that there is another Zonian tournament in the North Carolina area, I imagine, called the Wally Trout.
Very good.
The Wally Trout. So we'll have to add that, and hopefully that 828 area code, who happens to be listening because they knew we were talking about it, lets us know more about the Wally Trout. Cool name, by the way. The Wally Trout tournament. And we can add that to our list, making that the 8th Zonian tournament.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's cool, man. Absolutely. The more the merrier, the way I look at it, right? So, but listen.
Yeah, and that is true.
you know, a lot of great history, some cool stuff in your Bochicha segment that we learned today. So really excited for it. Next week, fingers crossed that we can get Andy Eftimitis and Dave Dahlstrom on from Cascadas. But thanks everybody for joining us. Again, we love kicking off the weekend with you guys here. Have an awesome weekend. Great Thanksgiving again. Ricky, get us out of here, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks. And remember, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have our famous rivals, the Kiwani Coats. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of us. Thank you, and we love you.
Love you guys.
Yes.